So there was one guy, he was thinking that he is a follower of Jesus, and later on he got to know that he's not. Just turn to our Bibles to Matthew 19, verses 16 to 22. So here we see one guy who's thinking that he's a follower of Jesus, and he's coming to Jesus, and he's saying that, hey Jesus, I am a follower. So what do you think I have to do in order to become perfect? And he was just thinking, just like how he saw the situation. He was thinking that he's one cake. He was thinking that he has got it all. But he's going to the person who's the right judge, who's the judge of the judges. He's going to him and he's saying that, what should I do? And Jesus is saying, hey, you know what, buddy, you have to follow all these things. And he's saying, which one? Because he was so very confident. He knew that he's keeping all that. So he had that boldness and audacity to go and say that, which one? Which means that he had kept it all. And right now is a moment that is going to break his heart. And Jesus is saying that you're just a normal person. You're just a fanboy. You're not even a follower. You're not the one who I was looking out for. And Jesus is saying a statement here. He's saying, go sell all your possession and come and follow me. And it says that this guy who is rich, who is young, and who is a ruler, he just went disappointed. So there's a cost involved in everything. The principle of life is itself like this. We pay something and receive something. It's economics. It's out there everywhere. Nothing apart from salvation comes as free. Only salvation is free, but for that also, Jesus had to pay the price, and that he had to pay it in the cross. Anything, if you wanted to buy a house, right, you had to pay money. It's a cost. And that cost took some effort. If you wanted to score good marks in your school or in college, you have to spend time. There's a cost that is involved. The cost is not just money, but it's time, effort, and other things as well. So you have to spend your time and effort to get good marks. If you have to go and impress your boyfriend or girlfriend, then you have to, again, pay some time understanding them, and then only you can score. So in everywhere what we see is a give and a take. The bartering system earlier we had, the Esther system. We give something and we receive back something. It's always like that. And what is the cost that is involves in following Jesus? And Jesus is saying it involves everything. Someone says everything. So Jesus does not want just a partial version of someone. He does not want a partial version of Nishant. He does not want a partial version of Pastor Ranjit. He does not want a partial version of it. He wanted everything. So what does everything mean? Is everything mean, according to the statement what we saw, according to the verse, for the rich young ruler, that everything was in his possession. His heart was on it. Though that he is keeping commandments and all on one side, but his heart on the other side is purely in the possession. That's the reason why he is not able to sell it. That's the reason why he is not able to give that thing up. God wanted everything means he wanted our life. He wanted our soul. He wanted our mind. He wanted our efforts. He has blessed us with talents and treasures. He wanted all of that. And most of the times what happens is it's money, because that's the reason why Jesus is saying, go sell off all your possession. We give something and we just receive back something. Salvation is something we did not work for. Nobody had worked for our salvation. It was purely given as free. But God wanted us to be his followers, and in turn, just because of that love, to pay that price. Not for salvation, but for others. We will look into that. The cost that involves for me will completely be different from the cost that might be, but that you might have to pay. It can for me be something related to sacrificing, for example, my job. Or it can be for someone selling off a position. Or it can be for someone to ditch the current work that they're doing, and it can be for doing something productive for God. So the cost here totally is different from a person to person, and you would know as you walk closely with God. What is the difference between someone who's a fan and versus someone who's a follower? We just saw that this guy was thinking that he is a follower, but he is a mere fan. And there can be many fans out there, and they can quote like 1,000 reasons why they are not a follower. But we just see some of the reasons why they remain to be as fans. So fans is not a person who does not know Jesus at all. He definitely know who Jesus is. And that's the very reason why the person is going and asking God. He knew who Jesus is, but he was just a fan, end of the day. So there can be many people in church, can be ourselves also at many times. We might be thinking that we are a follower of Christ, but we can be fans. So what makes a fan to be a fan? We just see three different portions. Number one is a person who's playing a dual citizenship. Turn to your neighbor and say dual citizenship. Okay, what does it mean? Someone who also wanted God, who knows God, who knows what sort of a person he is, and at the same time this person also wanted the pleasures of the world. But Jesus is very clearly saying in Matthew 6:24, so it says that we can't have two masters. You can't just follow God and also follow. There's not an and there. There's only one spot. There's only one spot given there that can be filled. It cannot be one and the other. It cannot be like I love my job and I also serve God. Definitely you can love job, but it cannot be take the first spot, because the first spot always belongs to God. And God clearly says that you can't love both. You can't keep both the things aside. You have to let go of one thing in order to get back the other thing. Fans, most of the time, they try to live this sort of a world. They try to live a life which will be of a dual citizenship. I'll also be here and I'll also be here. Thinking that, okay, I'm making one checkbox for the world and one checkbox for Christ. It doesn't work that way. So people who are remaining into this sort of a lifestyle will have a dual citizenship. We are all called to be as citizens of heaven. And Jesus requires our 100% self in order to be that. We can't be like, my 70% of myself is going to be here and it will go to heaven, and the 30% will still be on the earth. It cannot happen that way. It's just 1 and 0. It's binary. It can never be in between. It's just white, black or white. It's just night or day. It's just 1 or 0. You can be here or you can be there. We can be there and help people. That's another thing. I'm not saying about that, but I'm saying about our identity. Is it on God or is it on earth? And God has clearly told us that we are part of this world, but we are not of the world. I'm repeating it again. We are in this world, but we are not of this world. I used to think when I got saved, I used to think, wouldn't it be nice, God, if I just ascend to heaven once when I get saved? What's the purpose for me? It's better for me to be with you than to be on this earth. But we all have a purpose, and that's the reason why we are all here. So just because we are here doesn't mean that we own this earth. Doesn't mean that our citizenship is of the earth. Our citizenship is of the heaven. The moment we got saved, the moment that we believe that Jesus Christ is God, that the very moment there's a signature made saying that you guys are citizens of heaven. So we can't own a portion on earth saying that 30% alone God, just 10% alone God. Can't do that. So dual citizens are just fans. The second one, partial citizenship. Just take a partial role in it. They are Indians, just like how we saw in the previous example there. They are Indians, but just the Indians alike. Because they are in Canada and they have a permanent residency in Canada. So these guys are the ones who has not given up the 100% access to God. So they will be like, they'll have checks on certain areas. They have checks on prayers, worship, devotion, everything. But certain things related to their own life, they are not willing to give it up to God. It can be relationships. It can be anything related to the things that they're struggling with. It can be many other things. So God does not have the 100% access into their lives. See, our God is a God, for Him everything is visible. Nothing can be hidden to God. But at the same time, we have to know that our God is a perfect gentleman. He is not a person like, hey, I come to you. Come on, buddy. Come on, Stevie. I'm going to come to you. No. He's a perfect gentleman. It says that He stands in front of the door and knocks. If anyone hears my voice and gives access, only then he's saying that I'll come and reside with you. Only then I'll come and dine with you. He's not a person like I'm going to just come into and do whatever I want. He is not that type of a person. So he wanted the 100% access for us. It's not even the 99.9, what you see in the Domex ad. That one germ alone will go out there and say, hey, you know what, these guys are using Domex, so better don't use it. It's not like that. It's in a way where he requires 100% of us, if not even that 99.9% of us. Like I said, we can see it in the Garden of Eden itself about things. When Adam made a sin, Adam and Eve, Christ could have simply come there and he could have told that you guys have sinned. But he didn't do that. He's just asking, where are you? He know that they have sinned. He know that these guys are messed up. But still, can you see that he's going to them and asking them? It's just to see how transparent they are in terms of what mistake they made. It's good that at least Adam was transparent enough. He said that I made a mistake. But many a times we can be like this. On one side, we could be making mistakes and just thinking that I am hiding this thing from God. So this set of group, the ones who are partial citizens, they just wanted to give certain things to God and cover away the other things, thinking that God can't see it. So they still remain to be fans. The third one is why fans remain to be fans is because of situational citizenship. Again, they will have a situation, and just because of the situation, they need God. In other areas, they will be like, I don't want it. If they want healing, first person to come in front of all the healing meetings, and they'll be like, God, kadavale, kudunga, kadavale, asirvadinga, kadavale, enakku sukam kudunga. But other times, where it's really required, fasting prayer, or maybe it can be prayers what we make for others, for non-believers, they'll not be there. If the government is going to declare, saying that for Christians, we are going to give $10 million, these guys out of the box will spring up and say that, okay, now suddenly out of the box, they'll be like, where this citizenship, and they'll be like, I wanted this 10 million. Remaining times, they'll be like, I don't want this. It's just normal. So Jesus had these type of situational citizens even during this time. It was actually cool for someone who is following Jesus because they get everything. They get the bread, and for the physical body, they get bread for the spiritual body, and they get healing, they get everything. But at some time, Jesus is indicating this. Can someone read John chapter 6, verses 25 to 27? So these guys are not here for giving up their lives fully. They are coming just for a need. And Jesus is saying to them, truly, truly, I say to you, you are seeking me not because you saw signs, because you ate and you ate your fill of the loaves. It's just because they're hungry and they knew that being with Jesus, they get food all 3 times. Where there is fun, you will see certain guys. Where there is like joy, where there's buzz, where there's like frolics, you will see set of people who will always be there, and in other spots they will not, because they wanted to utilize the situation. A person who's a situational citizen is just wanted to use this Christian tag only during those situations. Healing venma, I'll go to a healing meeting. Miracle venma, I want to go there. If they wanted to get prosperity, there'll be a bunch of people. They'll be making a group for prosperity, prayer for prosperity. They'll be there. It's only for on need basis these guys will follow, and in other areas they will not. So what are the qualities of a follower? We just saw what are fans and why fans remain to be just fans. We'll now see what are the qualities of a follower. I just quickly run you through. A follower is a person who is completely devoted to God. He is completely sold out for God. It's not like that he's owning certain portions, but he has given up his life fully to God. When God invited Peter to come and follow him, that was the invite given to Peter. Peter had a huge catch. Jesus just made a huge miracle in his life. It will be worth, now in current terms, it will be worth in some lakhs. So he has a good catch. It's very easy for Peter to go behind money and continue his profession and do a lot of things. But he's like, He's just throwing his nets off and coming to follow Jesus. That's the quality. He's just sold out. He has a family, he has a sick mother-in-law, he has his own situations, he has to pay a lot of things, but still he was sold out and he was out there to follow God in fullness. The second one, willing to follow God even during tough times, even during suffering. See, it is very easy when our lives is going well and following God, and they are just fans. And someone, even though the life is not doing well, even though they're having problems, even though they're having so many number of external persecutions, soft persecutions or even hard persecutions, still a follower will be willing to follow God even during those tough times. I remember when I got saved, so some of my friends got also saved along with me during that time. And for me, it wasn't that hard, because I'll say that I'm going to swimming pool, and I took baptism just like that. I said that I'm going for a swimming pool and took baptism. But for him, he's from a very staunch Hindu background family. So every Sunday he had to go to church, and the profession what he's doing is he has certain cows. He has to milk the cow, and he has to go and supply those the milk to different places where people have subscribed, and he has to come back, give that money, and then go to church. The family got to know that this guy is spending a lot of time, and they got to know that he's following something else. He's going to church. They got to know. So they said, you're not supposed to go to church. We are against it fully. So you know what this guy did? His normal time is that he'll go and milk the cow around 7 o'clock. This guy will wake up early 6 o'clock. He'll do all that. He'll go and hide those milk cans somewhere, telling their parents that he's going and supplying milk. He'll go to church. He'll complete that, come back, give that money, and he'll continue to do his work on a Sunday. Again, he has to do that. Family is saying no. People are around him. They got to know that he's going to church. But still, even during those times, the guy stood because he knew that Jesus Christ is God. That's a quality of a follower. Even during the tough times, the person is willing to follow Jesus. A fan is a person who knows God's heart. What's in God's heart really. A fan will just be like, oh, Jesus, or long mudi vechittu periya robe pottu varuvaru. That is just the knowledge of about Jesus for a fan. But for a follower knows what is the heart of God. What God really wants us to do. What is the intention of God when He died on that cross. The person will do that. Then I will be knowing about Him. I'll be knowing about why I have to worship. I'll be knowing that why I have to pray. I'll be knowing that why I have to speak about this gospel to someone. But fans will feel like that. But someone who's a follower, he knows that it is his responsibility. He knows that he's supposed to go and share the gospel. Because it's not just coming from outside, it's coming from inside out. He knows that it's intrinsic. There's a strong motivation that he has got to share even when nobody is asking him to do. That's the quality of a follower. A follower is a person who has given full access to God. He has complete access. Anything. If it's family, it's given to God. If it's job, that is also given to God. If it's life, something, it's given to God. If it's problem, persecution, something else, ... etc. Everything is settled with God. There is nothing that the follower is trying to hide these areas away from God. A follower is a person who has a gospel impact. He will definitely have a gospel impact. Without an impact, the person can't imagine himself to do such things. It can be anything. It can be a miracle. It can be God revealing Himself. It can be the Sunday moment for many people when we have those things at many times. Those things that would transform our lives. It will not make us to be like our own self, how we were in the past, but it will completely change our lives to do something for God. We can see a typical example in the Bible. When God called Zacchaeus to come down, Jesus didn't insist him to go sell. I know that you have. Jesus knows that he has something in his home which he has got it not in good terms. But still he didn't ask that. But there is a gospel impact now because Jesus has interfered in his life. Jesus is saying that I will come and reside in your house. And that has made a difference in Zacchaeus. And he himself is saying now, just because of the impact, that I'll be willing to pay everything what I got in wrong terms. So that's a gospel impact. For a follower, Jesus is important for them over anything else. I know there can be a lot of things that what we have a commitment about, where we have responsibilities, where we have different priorities. But for a follower, it is always for him, Jesus is more important over anything else. A follower is a person who thrives, who wanted to thrive for God, who always wanted to do something for God. Be it can be a small thing like even let's take for sweeping. But he knows that, okay, this place my God is going to be magnified. Okay, the newcomers are going to come here. Let them also have a good time. Let them also have a sweet presence. Let them also make us comfortable. So a person would want to thrive and keep doing something for God. The person can simply start a conversation with a neighbor. A person can simply go and take a small 10 rupee of money and buy a tea for someone who is suffering on the road. A follower is a person who has everyday relationship with God. He's not like fans who only come on Sundays and just leaves on Sunday. Today, Sunday, I settled, this week, done, gone. It's not like that. A follower is a person who has everyday relationship with God. Be it it's church or it's not church, but still he'll have his personal time, his devotions, his prayers and worships. It'll always be a part of that person's lifestyle. A follower is a person who completely seeks God's guidance in every part of his life. He'll not be like, it will not be like that. That's the statement of a fan. But a follower will be like anything that the person is going to do, he'll ask of God. He'll ask for his guidance and do things according to not of his accord, but according to God's accord. So we saw why fans remain to be fans, and we also saw the qualities of follower. But why does our God wanted us to be as followers? Why can't we just be fans and just go away? Why can't it be that? The reason why God has chosen us all is the great purpose. So the gospel message is this. We all know it, and I'm telling it again, and it will not be cloyed in our ears to hear the gospel again, because it's so sweet every single time when we hear it. Jesus died on the cross for you and for me, and our sins are paid by him. And people who believe in this, they have eternal life. You and I are saved. We know that we for sure know that if we die this moment, we'll be with him the very next moment. We know it for sure. But God's heart is in such way that he does not want us alone to be saved. He wanted everyone in this world to be saved. That's the heart of our God. It's not just Christians alone to be saved, or just people who are followers alone. Followers matanapa heaven. It's not like that. He wanted everybody to be saved, and he wanted us to be as followers, because a follower will automatically try to share the gospel with others, because that's the heart of God. The simple commandment what God has given us is simplified to us: follow Jesus, love God, and love your neighbors. The reason why we ought to love neighbors is because the gospel message has to also go to him. It has to also go to our enemies, people who persecute, people who still every single time mock us, spit at us. God wanted the gospel message also to go to him or to her, and they also find an access to go to heaven. So that's the reason why God wanted us, all of us, to be saved and to be as a follower of Jesus. Paul says in his word, is saying that for me living is Christ and dying is gain. So it will be easy for us to go to heaven the very next moment, just like how I was thinking. If I'm going to heaven, that's very easy for me. I take an advantage. But for God, if we are here, it's advantage for him, because we will not just be like normal fans, but we will be followers, sharing the gospel, making people to come to our family, the bigger family where God is our head. and we all come together and we serve God and make an expansion to the family. That's the reason why God wanted us to be as His followers. So now people can have this thought, they can have it in their mind. I listen to this. I know that my call is to be as a follower, but I do not know. I do not know. I am coming to church regularly. I'm praying, I'm worshiping. But somewhere I don't know. I don't think that I'm a follower. If you have a thought like that, let me give you a few things of what you can practically do. And from there you can have a life of a follower. Okay. Number one, what you can do is realign your priorities of life. Realign. See, everyone has priorities, right? You have office priorities, you have personal priorities, you have priorities for your own self for doing something, right? So I would request you to go to your home in the evening or when you have your quiet time. You can take a piece of paper and you can write there what are your priorities and what do you want to really become. Let's take for instance that I wanted to become a CEO. Okay, and I'm going to write that I'm going to become a CEO. Give out a space and just write the name Jesus and align it. What can I do if I am going to become a CEO for Jesus? Right? It can be many other examples what you really in your life wanted to become and what are you going to do by achieving that? Right? So with that you realign your priorities in life. You wanted to get into some point. I'm not saying here that come on, that's all, you sell off everything and come do that. You leave off your jobs. I'm not saying that. God has given us individual roles that we have to play in our life. Some are called to be working in corporates. Some are called to be working in, let's take NGOs. That some are called to be as businessmen. Some are called to be working in schools, colleges. We have our responsibility to play. It's God who has given us that responsibility. Right? I'm not asking you to quit that. What I'm asking is how you can prioritize your life in such way that using that you can glorify God. You can be in corporate and you can live a holy life even being in corporate and being as an example about God and sharing about the good news to people. You can be in school, colleges trying to be a good student, yet you can share the good news with people. With that, you are not giving priorities for your own self or your own goals or your own ways, but you are realigning your life in such a way that you have given your top priority to God in whatever that you do. And while doing that, we have to take up the cross. A cross is something which God has asked all of us to carry. It's not like that only people who are pastors, only people who speak like this are supposed to carry the cross. It is an invite for all. Anyone who is a follower, anyone who is saved, we have to take up the cross. And we are taking up the cross where? We are taking up this cross to our workplace. We are taking up this cross to the place where we study. We are taking up this cross to a place where we do business. We are taking up this cross everywhere. And people will say that, hey, that's like a burden. You are having that. Your progress can be better if you're not wearing that cross. If you're not going to have it, your progress can be better. People will say that, hey, this is like heavy for you. Why are you doing it? But that's our call. That's what we are supposed to pay. That's the cost that what we are supposed to in whatever places we are at, right? So that's the call that God is giving us. Realign our lives, keep God at the top portion and carry this cross. People can mock. People can say that cross thukna romba valikum or beggu podu. We can't do that. It can't do like that. It's heavy. It is burdenful. It will be difficult at times, but there will be places where it will be a steep place where we have to carry it, but yet we have to carry it. And God is the person who gives us strength. Secondly, a complete surrenderance. Not a 99.9%, but a complete surrenderance. How can you do it? Take out your time and in your personal life, when you have a prayer time, just surrender it to God, saying that, God, this life completely belongs to you. This soul, my body, my spirit, everything, I give it to you. You know what crazy when I see in many places, someone who are very famous rappers, hip hop artists and all that, they just sell off their life, they sell off their soul to the demon just because they wanted to become famous. You can type it in Google if you're not believing in me, that's truth. People are doing that just because they wanted to be famous. Our God is not asking us to sell your soul and to become famous. He wanted us, He wanted to own it fully. And it's a safe spot. It's a treasure. We are giving it to a place where it's safe and where it is going to be completely with Him. And we are doing this without any expectation. Idu padna enna bro avum apdi ketta, there's nothing that we are going to get, but we for sure know that many are going to be saved through this. Many are going to be blessed through this. Many people who will get to know about God and their lives will be fixed, their families will be fixed, their kids will grow up well, and they have a better community for them to live with. That's the blessing that they're going to get. So complete surrenderance and without having any expectation. The third one, do everything and anything for the glory of God. Anything. We have been, like we said, God has given us responsibilities. Do everything in such way that you're thinking that you're doing it for God. Church, when we come here, when we do things, this alone is not just what God wants us to do it for Him. But there can be work. There can be certain deadlines what you have to meet. There can be certain ways that I have to pay some person some money. It's all for God. Because only if we do things here and if we if we're not doing things outside, then we become fans and we become hypocrites. God does not want us to be fans, and God does not want us to be hypocrites outside. He wanted us to be a follower. So do everything and anything that what you do it for Him, thinking that you're serving Him, and do things for His glory. And last is relentless obedience. Our pastors can come and tell that you have to do something. Your leaders, your mentors can come, your rock group leaders can say that, hey, can you do this? Just don't think இதெல்லாம் பண்ணலாமா வேணாமா பண்றதுனால என்ன கிடைக்க போகுது இதெல்லாம் பண்ணா சரி எனக்கு ஃப்ரீ டைம் இருக்கு ஈவினிங் வெளில சுத்த போறேன். It's not like that, but have relentless obedience. They are saying it with some purpose. The purpose you might know it now or you might be knowing it later, but there is a purpose that is involved in it. There is an intention that is in the backside. So do it with relentless obedience. Give it to all, and you know what? Doing it for God is completely worthful. Because He deserves everything. He deserves all our treasure, our time, our effort, our talents, everything He deserves. And doing it gives such a happiness in your heart. The happiness that what you can get, even if you're going to get 1 crore rupee or 10 crore rupee or how much ever money, the money can't give that happiness. You would get that sort of happiness if you worship God and if you try to delight God in your ways. I just wanted to read this Matthew 16:25. So we just think sometimes that it's smart for us to save up our life. It's smart. Saving up something or keeping all the treasures or hoarding things, lot of things. Hoarding money, hoarding our blessings, hoarding whatever has God given us. God is giving us blessing. God is giving us all these things so that we become a blessing for others. But a lot of times we think that we are smart and we hoard it all of ourselves, thinking that by doing this, I'm going to be saved. By immediately going to home after church and spending time with family and other things, they think that, okay, I'm going to, today's time I've saved, I'm going to do something productive. Today I'm completely giving up their life for work, 24/7 mails and sending calls and texts, thinking that by doing this I'm going to get promotion. But here God is saying that by us giving up this life to Him, we gain it, we save it. That's the message what we think. We think at times we are smart, but God is saying here, for losing for His sake, for losing all these gains and glories for His work, we all are being saved. Our lives is saved and is total guaranteed. The cost can be plenty, the cost can be difficult, but the gain out of it is going to be immeasurable for all you are. So we'll pray and we look up to God. We'll ask God for us to become His followers. Though the cost can be high, but still it's worth it. Let's pray to God and give it up to Him.